This is true, I've been caught.
In this game in particular, because they're 2-2, 2 wins, 2 losses in best of
I've been
5
caught.
skirmishes.
Ridiculous.
His time.
How did we dodge again?
Which this one.
Let's be honest, that's probably not his fault. Probably, I would assume Crown is calling him here, right?
That's Kraken. I think Kindred Cillian is main win condition in this game. Playing Nocturne with Aurora, you have a very simple but also counterable approach to the game. Nocturne, Aurora, they need to dive in and look for one-shots. It's not really sustained damage, it's not really kite back. Cillian and Kindred both counters that. Kindred is a great pick into Nocturne. Cillian is very good against Aurora and Nocturne. It's just a hard lane for Cillian, and there was some mistakes that they made that made his lane even harder. But nonetheless, I think Kindred Cillian should do a lot of work in this game. I think as well, in the draft, this is best of 5 Fearless, game 5. So a lot of melee supports are out, and Reckless doesn't play the most amount of melee supports. He plays the most common ones, but once you go into further games into the best of 5s, he doesn't play all of the melees. So my only critique for the draft, really in my opinion, is I think when you play Lucian Nami, you pick Lucian, you really want Nami. Of course, you can play things like Lucian and Braum, but again, this is best of 5, this is game 5. So I'm not the biggest fan of playing Kindred with an Enchanter support while also having a range mid. I do think Cho'Gath helps them a lot this game, and it's nice that they have a front line there. But it always kind of sucks when your main front line is the top laner. Because if your top laner is your only front line, he's not really going to be grouped the whole game. And in this case, where if you are blue side and your top, for example, has to blind pick, and you blind pick a tank, if they pick a split pusher or something, your tank is not going to be involved in most of the game, and we're going to see some points in this game, they're going to struggle with the fact that they can't really face check, and they are a bit worried about getting one shot, even if they do have Cillian R or Kindred R, and those abilities have long cooldown in the early game as well. That's the main problem with their draft, I think. Before we go into the review, some goals that I would have in the back of my mind this game is play around Cillian R, play around Kindred R. Without it, the fights will just be hard. So again, in early games, very long cooldown. Next goal would be avoid to play free lanes. What I mean by that is having a guy split push here, having someone push here, and someone push here is a really bad approach to playing versus Nocturne, Aurora type of team comps. Other team comps like Vi team comps as well, or TF, Rise, Galio, these type of things. Champs that can easily look on side lane, or even for your solo queue games where you're against like a Quinn top lane, Akshan mid. Playing on free lanes is really hard to achieve and do consistently when enemy can pick you off. Turning on enemies' flanks or marking their flanks will be very important, and it's something they didn't do. What I mean by that is, for example, having Cho'Gath run at the Aurora or the Renekton to stop them from flanking can be good, or the Kindred running at the guy flanking with a Cillian behind her can be good. If you do not do this and enemy kind of pinch you and squeeze you all together like a sandwich, you're gonna get one shot, and Jinx will get a reset, and Jinx will deal a lot of AoE in that case, and you're gonna lose. Enemy needs resets on Jinx, so you gotta stay connected, and again, play through Cillian R and Kindred R. And final goal, in my opinion, just simple goal, this is a very important game to have sums for fights, okay? If you can bait Aurora ult, and then just kind of flash and reset the fight and then go in again, it's very good. If you can make Nocturne ult you, and then flash his fair and then turn on him again, that's gonna be very good. And so Lucian and Kindred are very good champions to do this with, since they also have dashes in their kit. They're not going to be like, let's say you're playing Ashe and you lose your flash. It's going to feel pretty hard to play, right? First thing is not at that much of a point, but it's important context for the game. So LR, new Nocturne started here with this ward. And then Nocturne ends up invading, which Velia does something smart, does the red buff, Skeens, enemy Nocturne, does not get the red. Kindred got it. Now, Nocturne could, if he wants to flip a little bit, he could assume Kindred smited the red here, because she got it so fast while also taking all her camps. If he really wanted to, with mid push, he could attack these and smite him away. But nonetheless, it's not that good for Nocturne to spend all his time to even steal these away. But this created a massive jungle diff, as now Nocturne, when he finishes his blue, Kindred has done a full clear. This leads me into my first major point of this game. And I would like to watch the comms as well for this sequence. Aurora has the first move, but it's kinda a fake move. What I mean by that is, when enemy mid moves, and they have this mana, if you flash or use barrier for one combo that they do, this is not actually a champion, right? And Nocturne uses Spell Shield and E already. I felt like LR got a bit hesitant here and maybe a bit insecure even, and they ended up backing off just because Aurora came. But in my opinion, we should keep playing aggro here and just barrier the Aurora combo or flash it as Kindred and keep hitting them with red buff, and we can ace them 3v4. Now, very easy for me to see it here and call it out, and I'm sure in the game, if Neme is like calling Aurora can come, and this, maybe they feel inclined to play it safer, right?
If we play slow, Aurora is moving, guys.
Yeah, enough.
Aurora is moving. Aurora is moving.
Yeah,
She's
go.
almost zoomed, but she's moving.
I'm okay.
First case.
Look at me, look at me, look at me.
We're okay.
I wanna fight, let's do it.
Yes,
Look
but
at me.
I'm playing wave,
Okay,
They're fucked now. You should
I
get
can
it.
play with you.
But at the end of the day, this is a review what we can do better, and I do think if you look at like a high-level LPL game, they're not going to be scared here. They're going to chase this, flash Aurora combo, and kill everyone. This is Nocturne with no spells. He's completely useless. This is Jinx, use barrier, completely useless. So let's play this out with this info in mind. This is how it plays out. So I can say, here, when Nocturne wasted everything, I think Kindred should click forward only. Only forward, only forward, only forward. Keep hitting. Flash Aurora combo if you have to. Lucian should keep fighting. For sure it's winning. Now, something that's very actionable, though, is now. I hate doing crab now. I think here, you look at the map pack, they did have this info, they're all low. It's super important that we chase these guys' recalls. Take a look at midwave. Every second Aurora spent outside of this lane is a massive win for Cillian. And if we now can allow Cillian to recall, because Cillian has no TP, if we can allow Cillian to recall, and Kindred is the ones chasing these guys, the game is GG. Because Aurora is not allowed to recall and TP back here. But what ends up happening is Kindred is doing the crab, so Nocturne gets the Grump, which is illegal in my opinion with this bot lane state. Lucian can push this 1v2 in this sequence. Nami has enough mana for a spell, this is all you need. In my opinion, Kindred with red buff and Nami should just be going in here without the crab. And Cillian can throw one bomb or something, just recall, chase the Nocturne, chase the Aurora. Cillian could end up coming here, and he can catch midwave, and Aurora will be late and have to TP back to lane. And it's going to be very good. Instead, what ends up happening is Nami goes to the lane, which in my opinion is not relevant, but of course he's going to do it when Kindred does this. But like I said, I think Kindred should skip the crab and just chase. But now the problem is, they let the Aurora base, they let these guys base, and now Cillian has to base, which is obvious, so Aurora is probably calling it. Obviously, it's also mission. Cillian gets cancelled, and even if, let's say, Neme went further away, let's say he went to here, he will still be late, and Aurora can easily crash, and Aurora lost less than she should. So yeah, that's a big problem in that sequence, I think. So play more aggressive, chase them, and then allow Cillian to base, because enemy is the ones that lost the fight, so enemy should suffer, not the Cillian. So that didn't really make sense. This brings me to my next point, which is this point here. It's kind of similar thing about the cancelling of recalls. So, good play by Velia, taking enemy Grump. This is what's happening here, which they're gonna see soon. They're gonna get the announcement. So, taking this Grump, even if he doesn't have the announcement yet of the grubs being taken, knowing that they are this low, he should always go here and poke. Because even if, let's say, Nocturne didn't do grubs, and for some reason Nocturne is here covering the dive, as level 6 Kindred, if you meet Nocturne here, you're just going to Q away and run. And then Nocturne's wasting his time, you're just going to go back to topside, and you're going to get the grubs then. So I didn't like this from Velia, because if this now was a better team, what they could then look to do is drop this one wave, and if they drop this one wave, the Renekton here could just base and go bot. Renekton here can easily 1v2 this Lucian and Nami. They're out of mana and they need to look to base themselves. And then Nocturne, who wants to stay top anyways for this and his top buff as well, and top crab, it would be very good for Jinx and Emilio to go top here. And it's a good way for them to kind of take the L without griefing their game. Because they took a really bad trade here. And so my main point is, these guys are really low, they need to base, so you need to be in their face and stop them. If Kindred goes here, just in this bush, and then starts going here, poking them with autos and Qs and stuff, they can never base, they can't run here, because then they will die or lose flash or something good will happen. Even if Jinx flash, probably she still dies. and their game is, like, doomed. Instead, we still punish them, but it's the classic LR thing that I've been talking about for a while. They make a mistake by staying, but they had the option to leave because Kindred just left. Now, you can say, but they aren't gonna try because they don't see it and maybe this, but they should still try. And Emilio can, like, cue the guy and force the Kindred to flash or something at least. But they just stand here and they let themselves get killed. So, still good punish by LR. Here, Kindred skips Krugs to make sure she covers on this wave. He's also assuming Nocturne is going to be bot side with ult, which is a good read by him. Only thing I would like now is, when you have this pink from Nami, and you get this bot push, your pink should be moved from here to here. They had a pink here previously, now you should pink their tribush. The goal of this bot push, and with telling them that your jungler is here, should be that, hey, you can't cross from your lane, we're gonna chunk you, we're gonna turn on you. But the problem becomes, we place the pink here again, which doesn't really make sense. Then we push this, and this is much easier for them to play on. And they get a lot of space from this, and it makes it much easier for them now to play and judge what to do. These guys would never ever do this if this was pinked. They would get chunked for free, and the only thing they have to play through is Aurora. But every time Aurora shows on the mid wave, you can play aggressive here. The moment Aurora fogs, you give a little bit, you play defensive, but then she has to show on the wave again. So yeah, this didn't make much sense, this whole sequence. Here, for Velia, I noticed in a lot of their games, Velia will have smites available or something, and for some reason LR doesn't like to just grab one grub away. I think here, as Kindred, this is what was happening, this fight. Nocturne has no ulti, he sees Nocturne. There's no reason why Velia shouldn't grab one grub here, when Baus is as well pushing the Renekton away and giving vision of where Renekton is. This Renekton is not gonna go kill this Kindred. So, I think it's always worth your time as a jungler here to hit this and just smite one away. I know that he probably wants to play for tempo and get his Kraken ASAP, but taking one here with smite really does not take long, and it's a good way to make sure enemy has no chance of just getting like 6 grubs. I think here LR does something really smart, and it's honestly the best feature of Baus. Baus proxies this wave, gets this wave. This is insane if they use it correctly. Because essentially what this means is, Renekton now must catch this wave or he's losing. Yes? If he doesn't catch this wave, and this wave crashes in here, he just lost the cannon wave. So this combined with Symbiotic Souls, you now have insane tempo, right? Because you recall so fast. What I want to see is, if Kindred is gonna skip these 2 camps, Cho'Gath should TP bot lane. Because if you're not gonna do that, then I think Cho'Gath should just always run back up to top. This does not make sense what the Baus does. He recalls and then groups like this when his team is playing here. I want you to imagine now. This Renekton is so behind Cho'Gath in tempo, right? Because Cho'Gath has already cleared the wave and is already in base before Renekton has even touched the wave. Renekton still needs to recall. If you're Cho'Gath now and you TP to this ward, these guys pushes, how do these 3 people play? It's unplayable. If Renekton TPs, then he doesn't clear the wave. If he clears the wave and TP, then he's TPing without his item. Then you can just like poke them a little bit and just fuck with them a bit, and then simply just leave. Enemy has no engage except for Nocturne. Nocturne cannot solo engage versus enemy team. He just can't. Trust me, I play so much Nocturne, you cannot solo engage versus these guys. So 100%, if Bao's gonna proxy, if he wants to group and make a play, just TP to bot lane. If Renekton stays top, you dive them. If Renekton TPs, it's the new TP, then Renekton can't do anything. So this is what happens, they take the Grump, Cho'Gath runs here, realizes, wait, this is useless. So now Cho'Gath starts to leave. Now they do Dragon, and then once again, these guys kind of get to brief again. Reckless really is doing good, but there's nobody here to help him, and then they double down and do it anyways. But now this play is so bad because the advantage you had of Cho'Gath is gone, and now Cho'Gath is no longer a part of the play, and you're still forcing it, and now the Renekton that was down in tempo has made it here without even investing his TP. So now they get clean aced, but like I said in episode 1, I wanted them to be more proactive and try things. So even though they got aced here, I liked doing this, because the idea makes sense. Jinx is low, you have everyone here. I just think the correct thing would have been Cho'Gath TP immediately after the proxy and play it quickly, or don't do it at all. Because you also got to realize, if you look at it from enemy team's perspective, you don't have to do this as LR. But enemy team doesn't know what's going on. Because look. If you're enemy team now, and if Nami and Lucian just plays aggro like this, and they are acting as if they have backup, you as Kindred can just go back to farming your camps here. You as Cho'Gath can take this wave and act like you're going bot, but just go to top, and enemy team here, the Renekton and the Nocturne, still have to assume you're gonna dive these guys. You don't actually have to do the dive. It just becomes a mind game where these guys sit here and cover all the time, and you're just getting tempo. Next thing is lane assignments here. I think what LR did is good in this game for the reason that Cillian is really weak and Renekton is really strong. But I think normally here, Cho'Gath should run to top and farm this wave, and Neme on Cillian should go bot. Even if that means your mid is against enemy top and your top is against enemy mid. It's normally the correct play because Kindred wants to clear down to bot, and the next objective to play for is enemies' bot camps and their bot tower. Aurora has no TP, so if Renekton shows bot lane and you play for bot tower, the Aurora can't join that play. So I would like Cillian to be bot, but in this particular game Renekton is so fed and Cillian is too useless, so Renekton would simply just take the wave in Cillian's face and not care. So I think what they did is fine in this game, but it's something worth mentioning still. So good play by LR, they clear down with Kindred, Cho'Gath completely stomping the Renekton. Kindred bases quickly for item here. Let's get pickaxe. They secure the vision. Kindred returns to this side. And now they play for this bot turret. I thought this play was really good. I think in general with their team comp, playing this way is just smart. I think playing for this and tunneling for this is not that important for their team. I think going here and hitting the tower with Kindred and stuff makes total sense. And Cillian is fine. It's kind of hard to make a play on Cillian here. Normally when your mage is weak-sided, he's very vulnerable. But Cillian has ulti and a lot of movement speed, right? There, they know they're doing Herald as well. So I like this. When you know this guy is doing Herald, you have all the time in the world to play the game, right? And with Aurora going to show top here too, I think Kindred should just help Cho'Gath. Because again, you want to play fast. After Grump, Kindred should just push the wave with the Cho'Gath and just hit this tower. And bot lane should do the same. One shot this wave and just hit this tower. You only have two options here in my opinion as LR. You either just take this tower and then play for tempo and you play the next Drake, or you grief your tempo by hitting this tower, but then you get at least a lot of gold. But they kind of did an in-between, which is not good. Kindred starts like fogging here and stuff, but I think it's just useless. I think Kindred should always just hit the tower with free grubs. And then he starts to dive now, but again, this turret could already be like half health. And then they start going here, but Kindred is still not hitting the tower. And then by the time this all happens, now turret is alive. Yes, they killed Renekton, but that guy is just boosted. Like, Renekton died with flash up as well. So now I didn't like this, because now your tempo is so bad. An enemy can push out the lanes. And you see now they have push on top. And they have push on bot lane. And if they wanted to, they could be first on mid as well. But they chose to base, which is good by them, right? Because they got gold from the waves. So yeah, I think if the map is going to look like this, I think at least get this tower, you know? Also, I think as well, if you're going to go for this play, if you are Neme in this case, when you're playing Cillian, you have Moby Boots and you have your E. And I think it's a very powerful tool to look to get two waves at once. So what I mean by that is, when he takes this wave, and these guys wants to shift down, on the next mid wave, Cillian should just go mid again. Look, when you get this wave here as Cillian, now imagine Moby Boot Cillian with his 4 points E, take this and just run to mid. If these guys go and defend bot lane, then you have a new pressure point on mid from Cillian, and this turret will fall. Even if Aurora then rage pushes top, you trade enemy tier 1 mid for your tier 1 top and Cillian being here on the map, which means he can also come to the bot play. Instead, Nemes stays top when next wave is so far. That didn't really make sense. I felt like he can just run here. And even if Aurora goes mid with him, then they're both just laning here. After that, Neme gets all in. Now good rotation by the Baus. Let's take a look at it. Neme is 10 health or dead here. The Baus makes good choice to take over his lane. if Baus, let's say, went bot lane here, the problem would just be this wave would just die to the void, and Aurora could even look for the tower. But here, with the Baus taking over the lane, nothing is really lost by Neme having to base like that. And the Baus is also looking for Aurora's recall. Very good play by the Baus. The rest of the game is pretty good by LR, honestly, which is, again, why I wanted to watch this game, because they showed a lot of improvement in their mid-game. So here, they get rid of the Nocturne ulti. Again, it's a really hard game to play Nocturne, because, as you can see, Aurora was here, not a part of the Nocturne play. So now Nocturne has no ulti, so Cillian is fine to do this. He's never gonna, like, die for free here. So Aurora, no ulti, Nocturne, no ulti. This is so worth. This is one of the goals I said at the start of the game. If you, before, like, a push sequence or objective timer, like Atacana spawning, these type of things, if you lose your flash, and they use stuff like Nocturne ult or Aurora ult, you are going to get something. So I really like this from Neme. And a lot of people would maybe be scared to do this. And now, these guys have so much space to work with, and you can just run them down. Because Aurora and Nocturne are so much worse now as champions, and Cho'Gath comes and just bites this guy, and GG. Now the game is unplayable for enemy team, and Kindred ult as well is still here, because the Nocturne and Aurora wasted their ults, basically. And clean sweep, basically. Push everywhere, get items. Now the game is really unlosable, pretty much, from this point. Next point is now. If LR wants to do well in LEC, if we eventually get there, one of the main things that needs to get fixed is when the Baus decides to int. Because it's not bad that he's willing to int, and we see it in some other players like Whippo, for example, where sometimes they'll choose to int on purpose, kind of, right? But what I don't like is, in my opinion, we should play for this mid tower here. Okay? We said in episode 1, Cannon Wave is coming here. This turret should fall here. Right now, Cho'Gath plays aggressive on side and gets ganked. But now a good team, let's say this is LEC match, a good team will say, guys, give our mid turret and kill this guy. Because if you're the enemy team and you're down 3k gold, and your mid turret is 200 health, basically, you're gonna lose this tower anyways. So it's better to lose this tower and actually get the kill. Baus doesn't care, right? Again, it's kind of good he doesn't care. But then this shutdown could have gotten towards the Jinx. And then Jinx could get like 550 gold here, which could help them have a win condition, right? So instead, what I would like to see is Baus push side. Now, instead of going for the next wave and playing for this, if he just hovered here with his Moby Boots, then they can just get the tower easily on this kind of wave. If he wants to get this wave, then his team should not play for the tower, in my opinion. Cillian instead should hover here, Nami should give him vision line, and allow him to get a deep wave, and then they can group on the next wave and get the tower anyways. Both works, but you have to do one or the other. If you do both, you're gonna get punished by better teams and better players, and in this case, LR gets punished. And that's one of my worries for their future potential LEC matches, would be this type of punish would happen very frequently to the Baus, I think. And for the final thing, before the game basically ends, is here at this dragon. After getting this Drake, I didn't like what LR did. Now, they're very far ahead, and at this point, their draft is way stronger than enemies' draft. So it doesn't really matter, but I like to think about it like, what is enemies' best chance of winning, and what is like your worst fight? And I felt a little bit scared here when there's an unmarked Aurora in this bush, and Renekton came from mid here. There's a lot of good angles for enemies' team comp to get a wombo combo and a good pick here. So in my opinion, I think Baus's job is just to run at the Renekton with the Cillian speed and just kill him. Like this Renekton actually dies to this Cho'Gath and Cillian. But instead Baus goes on this side, leaving Aurora unmarked. They have no idea where Aurora is. Nobody checks this bush. They don't have blue trinket up, nothing. And now Crowley basically dies. Nami dies at the start of the fight. Crowley is completely zoned. They still win because they're so ahead. But this is the best fight for enemy, I feel like. And it's not like they did it on purpose. It's not like they knew Aurora was here and they baited her. It was just really scary. And I do think this Lucian, having no flash, which is what I was saying, I thought Crowley died for a second. If he does this, and Nocturne goes on Lucian, and Aurora finds angle on Lucian too, this could be very, very scary point of the game. So instead, get the Drake, Cho'Gath, just run at the Renekton, return to your waves, get proper vision. The Aurora will have to show herself at some point, clearing waves or something, and you get your wards back on Nami, and then you play the game, and then enemy team doesn't get this chance.
Je t'ai rencontré simplement et tu n'as rien fait.